order this special meeting of the Pasco County MPO. And at this time, if everyone could silence their cell phones, this is a quick meeting. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
City Commissioner Scott Black.
Here.
Councilman Lance Smith.
Here.
Mayor John Eric Hoover.
Here.
Commissioner Ron Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Seth Waitman.
Here.
Commissioner Catherine Starkey.
Mister?
I said Commissioner.
Commissioner.
Oh, Commissioner. Oh, I heard. Either way, I'm here.
Okay, Commissioner Gary Bradford.
No.
Commissioner Jack Mariano.
Here.
And Chairman Matt Murphy.
Guys, we need that podium.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, we do set aside this period of the meeting for public comment. If there's any public comment regarding the MPO matters, the Pasco County Metropolitan Planning Organization. Any comments at this time? Thank you. Hearing none, we do have two action items. Action item number one, the Pasco MPO fiscal year 24 to 28 tip amendment request. Mr. McKiska.
Thank you very much. This first item is a roll forward amendment from Florida DOT. They're adding 5 projects to our TIP, and I'm seeking your approval, please.
Any questions for staff? Any comments from the board?
Move to approve.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Thank you. Motion passes. Next item is action item number 2, Adventure Cycling, U.S. Bicycle Route 15 through Pasco County.
Tina Russo, Pasco
Ms. Russo, thank you.
MPO, liaison to the BPAC. Again, the BPAC's approved this project as well. So if you have any questions.
Any questions from Ms. Russo?
We've worked out that little issue in the southern part of the county on 30198.
Yes.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items for the good of the order while we're meeting as the
Yes.
MPO today?
We have a special
Commissioner
guest.
Starkey.
Thank you. We have a special guest today. Secretary Gwynn, District 7, is here to speak to us about regional MPOs, etc.
Welcome, Mr. Secretary.
Good afternoon. I actually ran into Commissioner at the T-Barda meeting, and she talked to me a little bit about the last MPO board meeting. I was out of town, so I apologize for not being here, but I know there was some discussion about the regional MPO, and she thought it might be good if I share a little bit of information so that as you're looking at the regional MPO potential, that you have all the information that hopefully you would need in order to make an informed decision at some point in the future. Right now, we're just looking to do, asking the MPOs to sign an MOU to do a study, which the legislature mandated. So the study is to look at what could an MPO be, not necessarily should an MPO for the region exist. That will come later, and in order for a regional MPO to exist, this MPO would have to dissolve itself and vote to go into a regional MPO. So it's not something that can be forced on you. But a couple of things I wanted to make sure that, because I saw a little bit of information that maybe there was a little misunderstanding. Most of the money that comes to the MPO is formula-based money. That money comes based on whether it's gas taxes, population, something that is a formula-driven. A larger MPO could not take that money away from Pasco County. That money would still have to be spent within Pasco County. So it may be that in 1 year you get a little less, and the next year you get a little more, and it's the DOT's job to manage that, to make sure that it balances out over time. A few of the things that a regional MPO could do, in my opinion, one is it does give more flexibility. In other words, maybe 1 year you want to take more money from one county and put it in another one so that you can build a project that the next year you put more money from the other county in this county so you can manage the funds around and have more flexibility. You could maybe trade off some funds. If you're looking to do a capacity project and somebody's looking to do more of a transportation alternative project in 1 year, you could be able to balance the funds out that way. But I really do think the biggest thing that we would get as a region is the fact that even though we get a lot of money through formula, the biggest money that's out there is the discretionary money. The strategic intermodal system money is all discretionary at the state level. And of course, there's still a lot, although all the rules aren't necessarily out there yet, there is a lot of big federal discretionary grants that are going to be able to go out throughout the whole country. I can tell you, as we talk to the legislators and we talk to our central office about projects at the state level, there is a lot of emphasis placed on, if I want to call it, the mass. You know, if you have a large region come in speaking as one to go after a project, it does carry more weight than a smaller county or city that may be coming in by themselves. In talking to US DOT officials, when they've told us is that, I've heard them say this to me directly, is if you guys were speaking as a region, as Tampa Bay, as a Tampa Bay region, as opposed to coming up to see us on county by county, you would have the ability to compete with places like Denver and Seattle, as opposed to maybe, you know, competing with Scranton or Peoria, which is maybe the size of what the population in Pasco might be. I think there's a lot of potential. There are still a lot of steps that have to take place, and this study will start laying the groundwork. It is true that most likely on this regional MPO, Pasco County would have less seats than the other two counties. But there can be a lot of safeguards put into the mechanisms of the structure of it to make sure that you can't just be muscled out. Some of them are our responsibility. In other words, we're going to make sure over a 5-year period that the money is spent equitably in all the counties. But then there's also other ways to set up the board. There may be seats that are for small cities. There may be a seat that's for cities in Pasco County. There could be lots of different ways to set it up. And there will also be regional players like the airport and the port that will have a seat that hopefully would look at things as a regional basis. One of the other items I think would be beneficial is that we have found at times that, not necessarily this MPO, but maybe some other MPOs have sometimes looked at the center of their MPO as where they want to spend all their money. And so the connections between that MPO and another MPO, or a county and another county, get neglected. A good couple examples are I-275 and US 301 going between Hillsborough and Pasco counties. We haven't been able to get those prioritized, and so we can't spend money on it. Whereas if a regional body that's looking at things as a region as opposed to 3 sub-regions within a larger region, we might be able to prioritize those and move those projects forward. So I did want to just make sure, and if there's any questions, I'd be glad to add. And we're not pushing you to do a regional MPO, but we're asking you to be open to considering it and participating in the study.
Thank you for being here with us today, Mr. Secretary, and we'll be continuing this conversation over the coming weeks, and we'll have more to say at that time as well. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Chairman,
Any other items that need to be brought up for the good of the
I
order?
want to speak to
We do
Secretary
have,
Quinn.
remember, we're going to start intruding on your timeline here as county commissioner.
I understand. I want to say one thing. I appreciate you coming and stating the reason behind the regional, and that I think our biggest concern is our individual projects we have for Pasco County. We're concerned on, because if we do away with our MPO, how are we going to speak to those? I guess we would have to speak to them based on us as a board, because the MPO won't be there as we have it now if we choose to go to the regional. So,
And there are other ways to do that within committees and within to do
Right.
that. So
yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's one of our biggest concerns, and I appreciate that. And I understand the whole full gamut of actually going forward, and for the bigger projects, and 301 needs to be 4-lane, and we all know that, and we need to get that money for that kind of thing. So,
Commissioner Starkey and then Commissioner
Okay.
Mariano.
I want everyone to listen that the secretary said that these issues, which every county's gonna have the same issue, can be taken care of as we work on how this structure is formed. I mean, and so I am very much in favor of going forward with letting them do a study.
Yeah.
And we can see if we like it or not. But he's hearing our concerns. I'm sure they're not new concerns. But, you know, there were people and there were elected officials in Hillsborough County who are trying to take down 275. They want to bring those communities back together where that went through. So I like the idea that we can kind of control a more, the regional destiny a little bit better, potentially. So I'm very grateful for you to come, and I just knew there were some questions still out there, and I think his message is very important.
Mr. Mariano.
Thank you. And, Secretary Gwynn, thank you for coming. Appreciate all your leadership, the effect you've had on the TMA, just getting commissioners to talk about different things regionally has been great. And I think what you just said, that the money that we have in place for Pasco County is always going to be protected, no matter how we fill out. And now the best benefit of the whole thing is now we can go out and, as a region, have a chance to get more money on other pots of money that we can't get to right now. So thank you for clarifying that. That's a big, big point for us.
I can't imagine that it's not that's a double negative. I must imagine that it's frustrating for you all at District 7 to see all these other areas get all this money and we get passed by, knowing the need that we have here. And you know what's coming.
Well, we're bigger than Orlando, but they seem to speak louder for some reason.
And yeah.
Speak louder.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Anything else before we adjourn the meeting? Hearing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone,
thank you,
for being here.
Secretary.
That's the quickest one ever.
Good stuff.